Ladies and people who love wearing pink shirts with pink panthers on them, aka really fucking amazing human beings. It's Andy here. It's the Inner Winner Show. Let's fucking go. We're going to cover the reacts video again of the Bad Boy Lifestyle channel. If you're not familiar with this series, this is me reacting to an Instagram account that I found that gives like meeting girls and pickup advice. And some of their advice is good, some of it is a little goofy, and we kind of have a bit of fun going through. So some of their posts, I'm showing them on the screen now. If you're listening to the audio, don't stress. I'll be reading out some of these, but you can see on the screen, some of them are just a little bit like shallow. They don't necessarily mean very much. Emotions are contagious. Let fear motivate you. Think outside the box. Stuff like that. Doesn't really mean anything, isn't necessarily helpful. But then other times they'll have some great advice, like do 3 approaches every day. Stuff like that. So we're going to have a bit of fun going through. I'll read out the posts and I'll give my kind of reaction to them, talk about what I think is good, what I think is bad. Let's get started. So the first one is, we are human beings, not human doings. I don't know what the fuck they're trying to say here, but in the description, they go on to say, don't define yourself using your achievements or professions. Instead, use the traits you have and develop. This can never be taken away from you. I think there's a little bit of wisdom here, but I think I would also add more context. Maybe I'd even just disagree. So they've put under here and they've said, like, if you agree. Sorry, gentlemen, I shall not be liking because I don't fully agree. So I think a lot of how we define ourselves is our achievements. Why do you guys follow me? Because I've achieved shit. Because I overcame depression. Because I got laid a ton of times. Because I've had fuck knows how many threesomes at this point. My penis goes in 2 women at the same time, gentlemen. 2 women. There might be 1 woman there and 1 woman over there, and the penis goes in one, and then the penis goes in the other. Whew, that's an achievement. It's the things that I've done, doing this podcast series that I'm doing right now. We're on like day what? I don't even know what day this would be. 270 something, in a row. It's the photography that I did every single day for a year. And some of those photos took like 10 or 12 hours by the time, the amount of Photoshop and stuff I put into them. It's those things that I've done. That's why you follow my stuff. It may be a little bit of who I am, but how did I get to be this person? If you like me, and that's very nice of you if you do. If you like me and you think like, oh, but I like who you are, Andy, rather than what you've done, the only reason you like who I am is because of the things I've done. If you take all those achievements away, I'm a fucking sad, miserable, depressed sack of shit. And so if you want to be someone worth liking, you have to do things that are worth liking. If you want to be respected or someone worthy of respect, you have to do things that will make you respected. Especially as men, we really can't be getting away as much as women can. And women can't fully get away with it, but they can a little bit get away with not achieving as much and still being valued or respected or worthwhile. Men, fuck no, I'm sorry. If you don't do anything, I'm sorry, you don't deserve respect. You won't get respect. The world will be cold and harsh to you. I wish it would. No, I don't even wish it would give you respect. A lot of people wish that you could just be loved for who you are. I'm sorry, it doesn't really work like that. If you want to be loved, you have to do something that makes you worthy of love. There's a great Ayn Rand interview on YouTube where someone's asking her and interviewing her. If you don't know who she is, she wrote Atlas Shrugged and a bunch of other books. And the interviewer says, but isn't everyone worthy of love? And she goes like, fuck no. If you want love, she doesn't say fuck no, but she goes like, if you want love, you have to earn love. And the guy goes, but isn't everyone worthy of respect by default? And she goes like, no, if you want respect, you have to earn respect. It's earned by definition. I would say love is the same thing. Love is something that you have to earn. If you want to be loved, be lovable. Now, some people have a very low barrier to, or a low bar, and it doesn't take much for them to get love. Fine. But they still earned that love. If they just suddenly become 600 pounds and a miserable, angry, horrible human being, guess what? A lot of that love is going to go away. A lot of people are not going to love them. They might be able to find one other human being on the world who loves them, but I wouldn't even necessarily call that love. Sometimes that's just a weird enmeshed relationship. That's a very extreme example, but I think you get what I'm trying to say here. If you want to be loved, if you want to be liked, if you want to be respected, you have to do things, guys. Like that's why I make it so goddamn clear on my website. If you want women, If you want to achieve anything, it doesn't even have to be women, but if you want to achieve something, you have to go out and take action. That's why someone will come on the forums, or, they'll hit me up for coaching, or they'll come to the winners club and they'll say like, man, I'm just really miserable, blah, blah, blah. This, women don't like me. And I'll say like, cool, like, what are you going to do about it right now? Go out and take some action. Go do something. If you're depressed, the answer to pull yourself out of depression isn't to just sit there and go like, man, hopefully one day this feeling will fade. No, you need to fucking do something. You need to go to the gym. If that's too hard, you need to go for a walk. If that's too hard, you need to pop your head outside the door and look outside for 5 seconds, and then pop your head back in, and then tomorrow do 10 seconds, 15 seconds, then walk to the elevator, then go downstairs, then go for a walk around the block. You need to start doing shit. Reach out and make friends. Go to a counselor. Hell, even taking medication is doing something. So if you just sit there and try and be a human being rather than a human doing, guess what? You're going to end up fucking depressed. I did an article, or a podcast, I should say, called The Meaning of Life and How to Be Happy. And I'm going to make a note to myself to add this to the description below. And in this podcast, I basically talked about, if you're depressed, the answer is to do shit. And if you want to not be depressed and you want to have a happy, fulfilled life, the answer is to constantly be doing stuff. And that doesn't mean like you're neurotically sitting there going like, oh my God, I can't have 2 minutes to myself or I'll break down and get depressed. No, I'm not saying that, but you have to always have something that you're working on, some sort of like goal you're working towards, a project, even if it's just like enjoying something, right? Like even traveling is a project. It's something that you're currently doing. You really do have to be doing stuff. If you just start existing and start being, as they're kind of talking about in this post, if you just start being a human being, you're going to get depressed within fucking 3 weeks, maybe a month. Maybe you're good for 2 months. At some point, you start feeling like this isn't enough. I want to actually be doing something. I want to be out there talking to people, living my life, maybe working on some goals, achieving something, doing something, building towards something. Even fucking normal people, normies, the kind of people that we mock sometimes in these podcasts who don't have any real massive goals or anything. They still have fucking goals. They still want to get married, have kids, have a house. Those are fucking noble, great goals. I would never fucking mock those goals. They're brilliant fucking goals. But that's my point. The people that you look at and you think, oh, they're so complacent, they're not doing anything. They're still doing shit. They're not doing as much as maybe some of us would do. And that's not even a judgment or a criticism, but they're doing shit. So please don't be a human being. Please be a human doing. Now, I want to quickly add a caveat to that and say, you do also have to balance that at the same time with at least trying to like yourself. And even if you haven't reached the goals that you're aiming for, and even if right now you think like, I'm nowhere near where I want to be, don't be a complete asshole to yourself. Don't hate yourself. Don't have negative self-talk. If you do have some negative self-talk, that's fine. Do your best to try and pull it back into the positive. Try and look for the silver lining. Try and say like, no, I'm not a piece of shit because at least I'm working on my goals, or at least I acknowledge that there are things that I want to improve rather than being complacent. Like, try and look for the positive. Try not to be a complete asshole to yourself. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one is, it's not about how good you are, it's about how good you feel. I guess we can kind of tie this into the previous one. Because I think I don't really know what message they're trying to say here. And reading the description doesn't even help. I mean, I guess I kind of get the message they're saying here. I think what they're trying to say is you don't have to be perfect. Or maybe another way you could frame this is, try and enjoy where you are right now, even if you're not where you want to be. Even if you haven't fully reached your goal yet, at least be okay with the fact that you're on this journey. And again, I have to do some real digging with some of these posts, like to try and figure out like an actual useful message. Because a lot of these it's like a dopamine hit. You read it for 2 seconds and you go, that makes me feel nice. And then you log off and you go fucking jerk off to fucking grandmother porn or whatever you weird guys are into. Shout outs to anyone who's into grandmother porn, by the way. Is there anyone into that shit? I know it's a category on like Pornhub and stuff, like granny porn. I don't mind a bit of like MILF porn every now and then. Like, you get a nice looking older lady, like I'm into that. She's classy. She's been around the world a little. She's had a little bit of experience. Maybe she got some fake breasts. I'm all about that life. I respect that shit. Maybe granny porn is just like one level above that. Maybe she's like a little more experienced. She's been around the world a little more. She can tell you some stories of like before the war and shit like that. Like, I can respect that. So we'll move on from this post. I don't think there's like a whole massive amount there. The next one. Oh, I like this one. So on the previous video of this series, there was one that said reward her for her good behavior. This one to those of you listening to the audio, says, punish her for her bad behavior. I don't like this one. I really don't like this one. Unless you're specifically in a fucking like dominant relationship or something, or you're fucking around with BDSM a little bit and you're like, oh, you've been a bad girl, I'm going to spank you. Like, and even then, that shit's fun. You know what I mean? There are some people that are into like, they call it like domestic servitude relationships and shit like that, where they like to be punished. Domestic discipline, that's the word I'm trying to say. Domestic discipline. There are people in those relationships. I don't think this fucking Instagram account is talking about BDSM. No, I think that's me fucking reading between the lines. I wouldn't recommend, just in a normal like dating situation or like a girlfriend, boyfriend, or just like casual dating, I wouldn't recommend punishing girls. Honestly, I think that falls too far into the red pill shit that I used to be into, where you would want to like punish women if they didn't do what you expected. I'm going to ignore her for a day because she didn't fucking reply to my text the right way. Or, you know, she didn't suck my dick, so I'm just going to go out and fuck some other girls, and this girl can just, I won't tell her that, you know, I'm not into her, and she can just text me and say like, hey, do you want to meet again? And I'll just ignore her because that's like a good punishment. I'm going to withdraw it. On the red pill, they talk about like withdrawing attention. I'm going to withdraw my attention. I do want to balance that by saying like, if a girl does do something that you don't like, if anyone does something that you don't like, it is reasonable to withdraw your attention. Like, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. However, I wouldn't do it as a punishment. Do it like, you know, she says something you really don't like, or she does something you really don't like. And instead of you reacting immediately and getting angry and going like, what are you doing? Why'd you do that? I don't like that. And trying to control her, you give yourself a bit of space. You take a couple of minutes. One of the guys in the Winners Club right now, he's doing this shit a lot. I call it pausing. We call it pausing when he does it, like putting in a pause. When a girl does something that he doesn't like, and his initial reaction is to get angry and say something butthurt or emotional or anything like that, we've gotten him to put a pause in. So he'll go away for an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe longer. Sometimes if he needs it, he'll go do his own shit. He'll go to the gym, he'll go for a walk, he'll meditate, he'll just focus on his goals, he'll hang out with his bros, he'll do something like that, right? Give himself a little bit of space to calm down, and then he'll respond to her. And 99% of the time, he's like, man, I'm so fucking glad I didn't respond when I was angry and emotional in the moment. That's not a punishment thing, though. He's not fucking punishing the girl for saying something he didn't like. And that's the bit that I have an issue with on this post. I don't like the notion of punishing someone just because they did something you don't like. I feel like that leads to drama. It's also a form of fucking control. And when you get too controlling, the reason I don't like controlling behaviors is because that again leads to fucking drama. It's also not a particularly lovely thing to be fucking doing to people, trying to control them. You guys wouldn't like someone trying to control you. You'd get really fucking angry. And I feel like it's a dick move to do it. It's hypocritical isn't the right word because I think that word gets misused, but whatever, we'll just go with it. It's hypocritical to not want other people to control you, but then you just turn around and fucking try and control them by punishing them, by going like, oh, I'm going to withdraw, I'm going to do this and that. So if a girl does something that you really don't like, bad behavior as they call it here, what should you do? I feel like the first step, if you feel like you're going to act emotionally, just do what one of the guys in the Winners Club does. Take a pause. Just take a deep breath, take a pause, go away for an hour, a couple of hours, whatever you need, however long you need. You know, in that time, if you're in a relationship with her or something and she's hitting you up and she's like, hey, how come you're ignoring me? Just say, I just want a couple of minutes, I want a couple of hours of space or some shit. Or just say, like, let me sort some shit out and then I'll hit you up, right? That's all you have to say. Don't fucking punish her by just saying, I'm not going to reply to this stupid slut. Like, fuck this bitch. Like, trust me, I've been there, I've done that. That was me for far too long, and that just leads to drama, resentment. There's a really good saying, I think it's a Buddhist philosophy. Holding on to anger is like grasping hot coals. You're the one who gets burned. Or I think there's another one. Anger is like poison. Anger, something like bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting it to hurt the other person, right? So if you're sitting there punishing a girl for her bad behavior, you're poisoning yourself. You're poisoning your own soul. You're making yourself angry. You're grasping onto those hot coals. You're the one that gets fucking pissed off. When you punish a girl, you don't immediately feel better. You're not like, oh, I feel good now. I feel nice and calm. No, you're still fucking angry. And now she's angry and she's probably going to blow up at you. Congratulations, dickhead. When you punish a girl for her bad behavior, all you've done is just start a fucking fight. You haven't solved jack shit. You've made it worse. And you've gotten yourself riled up and angry, and now you feel justified in your anger and justified in your punishment. And so now you're going to think that you're in the right, and then she's going to think you're a raging dickhead, so she'll think that she's in the right. How do you fucking fix that? You have to wait till you both calm the fuck down. So I would never be on board with punishment. I could do an entire podcast around why punishing someone is a bad fucking move, a bad idea for both of you. What works better is take a deep breath, take some space, just send her a fairly polite but blunt message of like, yo, I just need some fucking space for a little bit. I'll hit you up later. I'll hit you up tomorrow. I'll shoot you a message tomorrow. And sometimes, if you're in a relationship, she might say like, oh, like, did I do something wrong? Is everything okay? You just be like, everything's good. Don't stress. I promise it'll be cool. Like, I'll hit you up tomorrow. I'll hit you up when I feel ready. Most girls are appreciative of that. They're cool with that. It won't escalate. You won't get more angry. She won't get more angry. Keeping it calm. I'm not even saying you have to like fucking express your emotions, although I do definitely recommend that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But if you're someone that doesn't want to share your emotions as much, or you take a little more effort to open up and shit like that, just do this. Just take a fucking pause. Say like, let me handle my emotions and shit, and then I'll talk to you when I'm a little calmer. Go away for a bit. Go do some shit. Keep busy. That's the clear point, the main point here. Don't just sit in your room angry, staring at the wall, getting riled up. Go and do some other shit. Go live your life. Show yourself that there are other things outside of her and outside of your relationship with her. Keep busy, go do some shit. This is something I have to do all the fucking time. Not all the time, but like I've done this a ridiculous number of times over the last couple of years. Imogen has to do this too, right? If she's ever pissed at me, she goes into her room, she puts on a podcast, she watches a video, she goes for a walk, she goes to the gym, she calls one of her friends, she does some shit like that. And then she comes back a couple of hours later when she's feeling better, right? She does some shit. She keeps her life moving forward rather than sitting there going like, oh, I need to punish Andy for his bad behavior. Oh, Andy needs to punish me for my bad behavior. Fuck. You're just building resentment when you do that. Your girl isn't, even if it's a girl you're just casually seeing, she's not a fucking child that you need to punish. Like, use your fucking words and tell her what's wrong. Don't just like punish her. It's this red pill bullshit that, God, so many guys get so caught up in. She's a child and so I have to treat her like a child. Why are you dating a child, you fucking freak? Like, date an adult. Why are you dating someone that you think will only respond to punishment and not fucking words? Use your fucking words. So we'll talk about that a little bit now. If a girl does do something that you don't like, and you've given yourself a pause if you need to, or if you don't need a pause, like if you feel like you're rational now, fine, brilliant. A lot of the time I don't need a pause. Have a chat to her. Just say like, yo, I really didn't fucking like that you did this thing. Like, I really didn't like this. Here's the reason why. Or a more productive way of phrasing that would be like, okay, I think it might be better if you tried like doing this instead. Or like, when you did this, I would really appreciate it if you did this instead. And remember that this is a human being that you're dealing with. And just because you want her to do something doesn't mean she has to fucking do it, right? She's not your goddamn slave. Other people are not your slaves. So you tell her what you would like, the behavior that you like, or the behavior you appreciate. And then it's up to her whether or not she wants to fucking do it. And if she doesn't, you don't fucking punish her like you're her fucking stepmaster. This shit probably comes from fucking school. I'm going to go on another rant at some point about school and why I hate the education system and shit, because it teaches you to get punished if you don't do what the teacher wants. And I think a lot of that carries over into the rest of our lives. And people think like, oh, if someone doesn't do what I want, I have to punish them. If my friend doesn't do what I want, I have to ignore them. Or withdraw my attention. And if a girl doesn't do what I want, I have to manipulate her and get her to do what I want. No, fuck's sakes. You rationally, calmly tell her what you like, the behaviors you like, the kind of person you like the vibe you like, whatever it is. And then you're almost saying, are you on board with that? Like, do you think that's something that you would like to do? Do you think that's something you'd be cool with? Do you think that's something you could do? And sometimes that will be, she'll just straight up say like, yeah, I can fucking do that. Of course I can do that. She probably won't say fucking, that's me. But she might say, yeah, I can give you that. I can do that. Yeah. I appreciate you telling me that. I didn't know that you wanted me to do that. I can do that. And that's another thing here. That's why I don't like this idea of punishment. Because half the time when someone does something that you think is bad, you just never fucking told them what your expectations were. They had no idea that you didn't want them to do this thing or that you wanted them to do something different. And so if you sit down with them and just say like, yo, hey, I was thinking like, do you reckon you could do this instead next time? They'll be like, oh yeah, sure. I didn't know you wanted me to do that. If instead you punish them, you're punishing them for something they didn't even fucking know they were doing. And now they have to walk on eggshells and be careful that you don't just randomly withdraw your attention or ignore them for a couple of days or fucking say something rude to them or punish them. Like, fuck, how is that a relationship? That's like, this, I hate to use this word, but that is fucking abuse. It's like, at the very least, neglect, right? Like, walking on eggshells, like, shit, what if this person punishes me and blows up for shit that I didn't even know I was doing wrong? Like, am I supposed to just guess what they want me to do? The fuck is that? You're gonna give the poor girl Stockholm syndrome or some shit. Instead, use your fucking words. Say, here's what I expect. I get that you maybe didn't know that I wanted that, or maybe, whatever. Maybe other guys you've been with didn't need this thing. I kind of do. Do you reckon you can do that? Most girls will be like, yeah, I'd love to do that. Sometimes it'll be a compromise. And sometimes she'll say, like, I guess I can give you that, but like, that would take me effort, like that, like I am giving you something. And then in that case, you have a chat about it. You're like, okay, well, I don't want you to have to do something for me and then feel resentment. I don't want to feel like, I have to push you to do something or make you do something, because then you're not going to feel good. You're going to feel like you're just doing what I want you to do. That's going to lead to resentment. So is there a way we can do this where we're both having a win? Like, you're happy to do it and I'm grateful that you're doing it, and neither of us feel like you're being forced to do it. Or sometimes, depending on what it is, she might feel like it's a compromise, and then you kind of reciprocate and you'd be like, okay, well, what can I do to make it worth your while? Like, can I give you a fucking compromise? Or maybe I don't need to compromise something, but can I like give you a reward or something? Can I show you, even if that's just gratitude, can I at least be appreciative of the fact that you are putting in some effort to do this thing, and you're doing it for me, and I'm fucking grateful for that. Sometimes gratitude is its own reward. A lot of the time it is. Maybe depending on what it is, you say like, yo, that's really fucking cool of you to do this. I tell you what, I'm going to take you out for dinner or something. And again, that's more like in a relationship than just, friends with benefits and stuff like that. But the point that I'm getting to here is use your words. Don't fucking punish for like a million different reasons. Please don't fucking punish. It just leads to like more drama, more pain, more misery, more anger for you, more fights, all of that kind of bullshit. Use your fucking words. Use your fucking words. Use your fucking words. It's really not that hard. Again, it doesn't have to be this big, massive conversation where you sit down and communicate and shit like that. Just say like, yo, hey, this thing you did, I was thinking like, could you do it differently next time? Or I didn't like how you did this, and here's the reasons why I don't like it. Do you reckon you could be on board with like doing this instead? And most of the time, if you come at it from that and you're not attacking the person, you're just being chill about it and you're just being like, hey, I reckon this would be like, I'd enjoy this more. Like, what do you think? Do you reckon you could do that? Most of the time, most people are like, yeah, sure, buddy. Of course I can give you that. Or a woman will be like, yeah, sure, honey, I can give you that. Even a casual friends with benefits, a lot of the time, they're like, yeah, sure, I can give you that. Like, of course I can. That's not that much effort. I'd be happy to give you that. And if it is effort, just like I said, throw in some gratitude, maybe do something nice for her. Make it apparent you really appreciate the compromise. Give a compromise back if she asks you for one, as long as you're willing to make it and you don't feel resentment. We'll start wrapping up here. That's already another 20 minutes. Holy shit, we went deep there, didn't we, guys? So, I think most of that was about not punishing. We ended up talking a shitload about not punishing. So, don't punish. Just use your fucking words. I really liked the one they did last time where they talked about rewarding good behavior. That's a better way of doing it. If you genuinely want someone to change their behavior or do something that's a little more in line with what you want, what works better is just fucking telling them, hey, I'd appreciate if you do this. And then if they do it, fucking praise the living shit out of them. Praise works a million times better than punishment. Again, I think that shit comes from school. And that schools have this corporal punishment bullshit of like, oh, if you speak up, get out of the class, detention, suspension, this, that, and the other. I'm going to embarrass you in front of the class. Rather than saying, yo, hey, Jimmy, or hey, Andy, come see me after class. And then you go after class, they're like, hey, like, I notice you interrupt like most of my lessons. Is there a way we can kind of work together that you don't interrupt my lessons? You feel like you're getting attention or whatever it is you need. Like, can we have a win together? Like, do you reckon you can be quiet in my class and give me what I need? Because I need to teach this class. Is there something I can give you in return for that? Like, is there something cool that we can do? Can I give you a fucking reward or something? Can we make the class a little more interesting? For the last 10 minutes, can we talk about something you want to talk about? And maybe like every lesson we'll pick a different person in the class and they can have the last 5 minutes and we'll discuss a topic they want to talk about. Like, teachers don't fucking do this shit because they don't give a fuck. They're just... I said I wasn't going to get angry. We'll wrap up there. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe, trying to get the channel to 1,000. And if you're on Spotify, hit that subscribe button. Is there a subscribe button on Spotify? I think there is. I know you can add shit to your playlist and shit like that. Subscribe on Spotify if you can. If you can't, I'll fucking kill myself. I will.